Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Super Lunch Roast Podcast, episode number 131. I am Brendan. UFC Fight Night, Rakic versus Blachowicz. We are going to talk about that fight and how it ended in a more unorthodox fashion. We're talking about Ryan Spann and Cuțelaba, Davey Grant versus Louis Smolka. The rest of the main card, we are going to cover all that in this video, and then I will cover the prelims in the next one. All right, before we get started, please, if you like the UFC, if you like MMA in general, if you're interested in any of those and you want to check out some of my other videos, that'd be awesome. Also, subscribe to the channel so you know when the next video is coming out and keep up to date. I put at least one of these out every single week. I keep saying at least one, but it's probably 2 or 3 every single week. So if you could do that, I would appreciate it. And if you do like this video, press the like button while you're at it. I love y'all. All right, let's do this. Okay, Jan Blachowicz, the former UFC light heavyweight champion, taking on Aleksandar Rakic, the Austrian sensation. That doesn't work when they're not Croatian because it doesn't rhyme, but he's coming off of a couple good wins, Rakic is, and he's I would say positioned to become a future, I would say, champion in the light heavyweight division. He has all the skills, the tools. He just needs to stay healthy, and that's kind of unfortunate on how this fight ended because Rakic was doing okay. They got to the third round here, and it says details 2 injury, and it was. So Rakic is bouncing back. He's bouncing, and when he plants on his right foot, you can see in the slow-mo like something pop in his knee, and then he falls down and collapses. It was not the leg that was getting kicked. It was, I would almost say, a freak accident. Obviously this is more of a straw that broke the camel's back type of deal, where I'm sure he's had either injuries or weaknesses in that area leading up to this fight, or unbeknownst to him leading up to this fight, and then this is just that one move is just what took it out. It's happened before. Tony Ferguson snapped his knee on tripping over a cable at a UFC presser event, tripping over a camera cable. So shit happens. It's unfortunate. Let's talk about the fight as we saw it, because it's gonna kind of indicate where we think Jan Blachowicz is as far as his title contendership and his the possibility of him regaining the belt, as well as Rakic, coming back and being a title contender himself. So that being said, let's look at this. Jan was doing more damage, landing more in that first round that I felt. I felt like he landed more shots, and he did. For those of you guys watching this video for the first time or watching me for the first time, I just want to let you know I do pull the stats up for you guys so we can go over them together, but I am looking at these stats for the first time. I like to write down all of my notes and opinions before I look at the stats, and then I look at the stats fresh. I like to look at the fight as if I were a judge, and judges do not have the benefit of seeing the strike numbers. Now, sometimes they put the striking numbers on the broadcast, but, that's neither here nor there. Okay, so Jan was doing more damage. Rakic got rocked a few times. He didn't drop or anything, but Jan did a great job lifting his leg when Rakic was throwing his kicks, and Rakic was taking him right on that lead calf. His left calf was trashed by Jan's low kick. You want to look at the breakdown here. To the leg in that first round, Jan landed 12, and Rakic landed 10 himself. So it's not like he wasn't throwing leg kicks. He was. It's just they were getting either checked or they weren't landing with the same kind of impact, and they were a little higher on the leg anyway, some of them. Whereas Blachowicz, pinpoint every single time, low leg kick, and he was just landing the exact same spot on that calf, and there was a knot building up on it even after that first round. So I gave Jan the first round anyway. Rakic got a takedown and stayed on top the entire second round, but there wasn't much more than that. And if you want to look at the striking numbers here, it kind of plays that out, 10-1 in favor of Rakic. So Rakic was able to control Blachowicz for 5 minutes of that second round. Okay, 4 minutes and 33 seconds. Okay, give me a break. He was able to control him for that entire second round. So again, when it comes to, so in the third round, pretty much nothing happened. They were throwing back and forth, and then Rakic took that step back, tried to plant on his right foot, and then the injury happened. So just based off these first 2 rounds, what can we say about both these guys, right? So Blachowicz as far as like his future goes in the UFC, obviously I think the title shot is next for him. His current ranking is number 1. He was before this fight he was ranked number 1. He should remain number 1 regardless of what happens next week, because Glover Teixeira, not next week, 2 weeks. Glover Teixeira is taking on Yuri Prochazka. So those two guys are going to be fighting each other, and the loser of that should drop below Jan for sure. Okay, Jan is the number 1 contender. Rakic is number 3 before this weekend. I don't know if he really drops because of this. I don't think his stock really took a hit. Okay, what does that mean? Blachowicz, based off what we saw, do we think... I'm asking you because, in my opinion, I didn't see anything from him that says he's grown as a fighter, but everything was so short. It's just, look how he got dominated on the ground by Rakic. I can look at this fight with rose-colored glasses and say, look at that first round, look how Blachowicz did. But remember, with Glover Teixeira, his weakness wasn't on the feet, although he did get caught a few times. It was really when it came to the ground, he was just getting dominated. Okay? So, has he worked on that enough to take on Glover Teixeira on the ground? Based off this fight, I'd say no. So, if he could keep it standing, and if he took his time and stayed patient and didn't gas himself out against Glover Teixeira, I think he could win. I think he easily could have won the first time had he done that strategy. It's just Glover Teixeira makes that very difficult, and unless you put him away, he's not going anywhere, right? You got to Anthony Rumble Johnson his ass and punch his tooth to the moon. So, Yuri Prochazka this weekend in a couple weeks taking on Teixeira. If Prochazka gets the win, it's a fresh matchup with Blachowicz. I'm down. If Teixeira gets the win and Blachowicz has the loss to him and can avenge that loss, right? So I'm down with that one too. So the reason I brought all that up is I don't see any reason why Jan doesn't get the next title shot. The timelines are close enough. There's no reason not to, barring injuries or some other craziness happening. Jan should be getting the next title shot at light heavyweight. And good for him. I mean, he's a little bit older, and he's the former champion. I think he deserves at least this, not just based off his history, but his recent performances. Okay, now what can we say about Rakic based off what we saw here? He's a contender, man, because if Blachowicz is in that same... I know, styles make fights, okay? I understand that. So, Yuri might dominate Rakic, and Rakic might dominate Teixeira, and Teixeira might dominate Yuri, right? All of this can happen because MMA math doesn't work like that. But what I'm trying to get at here is Rakic is a real contender, and what he did to Blachowicz in that second round, and even in the first round, yeah, he wasn't getting pieced up, but he was losing the striking battle. So against someone like Prochazka, who likes to go in crazy, maybe he loses that too, or maybe it's just so crazy that he catches him. So we could call that 50-50, 60-40 in favor of Prochazka. But when it comes to grappling, he looks like he can hold his own when it comes to Blachowicz, and that's fine. And Glover Teixeira is a fancy he loves to grapple. Rakic kicks hard, he hits hard. I think he could beat Teixeira, and I think he could beat Blachowicz too. We didn't get to see that play out over 5 rounds. We got to see it got cut short due to injury. So the reason I'm going over this a little bit more than I normally would in such a short fight is that it ended in such a dissatisfying way, an unsatisfying way, where we didn't really get to see either the best and worst of each fighter necessarily, because they didn't even get to make their adjustments. I mean, maybe Rakic did make his adjustment. He made an adjustment and went for a takedown in the second round, he caught a kick and flipped him down. But, I mean, we didn't get to see, long-term adjustments. We didn't get to see how their cardio plays out. How does their power carry into the 4th and 5th round? We didn't get to see any of that stuff. So, and neither one of them was really blowing the other person out completely. So, yeah, it's unfortunate that it ended this way, but on the plus side, we do keep 2 contenders. We do. Rakic gets 1 win against any one of these guys, like a Magomed Ankalaev or even an Anthony Smith, if they want to run that back, because Anthony Smith's been calling for that rematch. You could easily throw him in as the title contender. So, good fight as it lasted. It was fun to watch. It's unfortunate the way it ended. Good. good on Blachowicz, getting back on the horse, getting back in the win column, and putting himself in position. Okay, Ryan Spann versus Ian Cuțelaba. This was chaos. Chaos in the first round. Absolute. It just every Cuțelaba fight. It's always the same. It's just complete chaos. Something stupid happens. I'm not a fan of him. Let's look at his record. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if he got cut. Like, yeah, he beat Devin Clark, but he lost to Dustin Jacoby and Magomed Ankalaev. That's not that bad. Twice. Well, yeah, okay. That second loss was a real loss. The first one was baloney. He beats Khalil Roundtree. That's the thing. Is like everything with him is just pure chaos, and it's just, you know, I don't know what to make of him. You know, it looks like he has the skills, and he lost by guillotine in the first round after, you know, there was some punches landed on both sides. Neither one of the guys really got rocked. I guess Ian caught a punch, and he was a little bit rocked, and he threw some nasty stuff at Spann and got on top of him and tried to lay damage but didn't do anything. It's just everything with him is just 0 or 100. It's always in, and it's fun to watch while it lasts. It's just as a fighter, what do you make of him and his career and his trajectory? Because based off, like, if you just showed me his skill set and what he could do, I'd be like, oh, that guy could be, you know, a top 5 fighter. He could be a title contender with the right training and that kind of stuff. But then you watch him fight, and you're like, oh, this guy shouldn't sniff a ranking. No. So, you know, a good win for Ryan Spann. Obviously, coming back from his last loss, so that's good for him. Not much to break down in this fight, like I said, more just craziness. Spann, you know, he's traded wins and losses, so if he gets another win here, he can maybe he could sniff a ranking. I don't know if he has before, but maybe he could get back. He can get into the ranking system here. Davey Grant taking on Luis Smolka. This fight was pretty fun. So first round was a total blowout. Davey Grant ends up getting the TKO finish in the third round here. It's more of I would say it's a KO finish. It was not a TKO, sorry. It was a KO finish. Breaking it down round by round, Grant was doing some nasty damage to those legs early on. If you want to look at the striking numbers in this first round, Davey Grant 45-14 wasn't even close. And the thing is, those 45 shots that he landed were hard shots, right? And the ones that Smolka was throwing back at him did not have any steam on him. So Grant was working the body. He was doing nasty damage to the legs with really hard leg kicks. He's doing to the body. He was going with big hooks, great kicks, spinning attack. Like he rocked him with a spinning back fist. Or no, he landed a spinning back fist. That didn't rock him. He rocked him with like a jab. Yeah, he put him on his butt with a jab. He was doing a spinning back kick to the gut and hurting Smolka with it. Dude, he just landed so much damage. And then the second round, both guys were landing big shots in that second round, but Grant was slowing down. So I actually gave that first round at 10-8 to Grant, okay? But both guys were landing big shots in that second round, and Grant was slowing down. Smolka won that second round. You know, yeah, maybe each shot wasn't as powerful, but Smolka definitely didn't get rocked in that round. And he had some advantage when it came to ground control. He was on top for just a little bit and landed some damage of his own. And Smolka really turned it up and was able to keep the pressure on 56-27 as far as significant strikes go. I think that easily outweighed any of the bigger shots that Grant landed in this round. So I had it 19-18 in favor of Grant going into the third round. And then Grant dropped him with a leg kick. So he went back to the leg kicks, kicked him one good time in that lead left leg, and Smolka was hopping around on it, ends up falling down to the ground after like he half-hearted takedown attempt, and then two right hands put Smolka right the fuck out, and Davey Grant is back in the win column. So, you know, he's got those losses to Cheeto and Adrian Yanez, really good fighters. You know, he's an action fighter. He's fun to watch. He's got maybe some cardio issues that he needs to work out. That second round really didn't look good when it came to the eye test as far as exhaustion goes. But going forward, he's a fun guy to watch. And what is going on with Luis Smolka, man? been fighting in the UFC since he was 20. He just needs to, I don't know. I don't know if he should be in there. Okay, Katlyn Chookagian versus Amanda Ribas. Okie dokie. So, this one, again, I don't know how many people actually watch these fights. So, I don't know how much controversy there's really going to be. But I want to show you guys something. Because the commentary in this work, although I just had a conversation this weekend with my barber. Or this week. I just had a conversation with my barber this week about how I love Michael Bisping and Dominic Cruz on the desk. I know a lot of people don't like them and whatever, but there's something about them that just clicks for me, right? It's a personal thing. It really clicks for me, and I like it a lot. Well, they were so bad. They were so bad in this fight, specifically in this one, because... Okay, so Chookagian gets a split decision here. It should not have been a split decision, and I will explain why. So, in that first round, like the striking numbers, look at the striking numbers, 20-7 in favor of Chookagian. Okay, striking numbers don't always tell, it's not a complete picture, but I will tell you that if you didn't watch it, Chookagian landed actual significant strikes. They were very good, and Amanda Ribas's 7 strikes were nowhere near as much damage as those 20 that Chookagian put out. So now if you just heard the word that I just said, damage, if you go off of damage, all that work that Katlyn did on the feet, landing good right hands, plenty of kicks, Katlyn wins that first round 10-9. There's no discussion to be had because when Amanda Ribas had control, she did nothing with it. She did no damage, and she didn't attempt any submissions. Yeah, 0 submissions attempted the entire fight. So you can't use that argument either. Her only advantage in that first round was control and takedown and control. Okay? Control is the least most significant score. Okay? It is the least significant of all the major scoring criteria. Now, if the striking numbers were close, or if the damage was close, or if Ribas was able to do any damage or go for a submission on the ground, we wouldn't be having this conversation the way it's going right now. But I will tell you that there is no discussion to be had in who won that first round. It was Katlyn Chookagian, okay? And the whole time, they're like talking about how Chookagian's down around and blah, 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 and the grappling of Ribas really won that first round. They missed the mark so hard, and Brendan Fitzgerald did his best job. I love Brendan Fitzgerald. I really do. I think he's come a long way. I've said it before. He rivals Jon Anik, in my opinion. I don't think he's not as good as Jon Anik, but on any given night, I love the way he does his analytic work. I think it's fantastic. So he was trying to tell them that control time, especially Dominic Cruz, he's saying control is the least most important scoring criteria. That damage is number 1, and he said it multiple times. And then, of course, Cruz comes back with, like, you go in there and try to control them and blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, with some fun ribbing. It wasn't vicious or nasty or anything like that. It was just kind of dismissive, saying, like, oh, hey, I know what I'm talking about. Well, guess what? Brendan Fitzgerald was right here. And it's not just because I agree with him. It's just because it goes off the rules. So here we go in the second round. Again, how are you giving, like, I said this. I'm like, how are you giving Amanda Ribas the rounds with no damage? She had control on top in the second round, and she landed more strikes. So this second round was 24-15 in favor of Chookagian. And she landed, this was the round that Chookagian landed some really good shots that stumbled Ribas. Like, a few times. She hurt Ribas this round. Okay, so she landed, those significant strikes were more significant than the one she landed in the first round, and she landed more of them. Yes, Ribas landed 15 of her own, and she had 2 minutes of control time, but she didn't do anything. Like, those 15 strikes, some of those were on the ground, and she wasn't doing anything with them, right? She wasn't, this is what I'm saying, is like, you need to work very hard on the ground to overcome big, stumbling strikes that came your way on the feet. You have to work so hard to overcome that damage because your strikes aren't going to have that same pop on them. Not on the ground. Unless you posture up and really are going for like nasty ground and pound, which she wasn't, right? And again, no submission attempts. You can't use that argument. So in my opinion, and it's the correct answer here. It's not even an opinion thing. Is Chookagian was up 2-0. So Amanda Ribas needed to go for a finish. And Cruz kept saying that 4 minutes of control time means something. It doesn't. It doesn't mean anything outside of using it to end the fight or when everything else is even. So she didn't use it to end the fight. She used it to sit on Chookagian and stop Chookagian from punching her in the face. Which, had she, if that had happened and she didn't get punched in the face, easy round for Ribas. But in those first 2 rounds, she got punched in the face plenty. Okay, she took a lot of damage in those first 2 rounds compared to the damage that she outputted. So sitting on Chookagian and trying to eke out a win by stifling your opponent's offense after you have already received damage is not an effective technique. It's not. It should never work, and it didn't work in this case, and I'm glad it didn't. So anyway, the last round should have gone to Ribas, and it did. One judge's scorecard gave it to, Derek Clearly here, and gave it to Ribas. That's wrong. He's just wrong, right? The second round or the third round here, Ribas landed more. It felt like she did equal, if not way more damage than Chookagian did, and she had a little bit of control. But really, it was contested mostly on the feet in this round, and that's what's funny is this was her best round. So had she been able to turn up the intensity and keep it like it was in that third round, in either of the first 2 rounds, just for a moment, and then get the takedown, she easily could have won this fight. So is Amanda Ribas' right place at flyweight here instead of at strawweight? I don't think so. I think she's going to get overpowered. Katlyn Chookagian isn't known for her grappling heavy strength style of fighting. That's not her thing, but there are plenty of fighters at 125 who can do that and will do that to Ribas, and they will overpower her. So I wouldn't mind seeing her go back down to strawweight. Yep. Okay. Oh man. All right, Frank Camacho versus Manuel Torres. This fight was more chaos, so this one was fun to watch. Frank Camacho is known for his like pressure style, throwing caution to the wind and just like swinging away, and he did for a little bit, and he tried to defend a little bit too, but Torres eventually just caught the mark, right? These guys were just throwing back and forth. There's not a ton to break down here. And, Torres was landing the better, harder shots in pretty much the entire fight. So Camacho is basically just banking on landing one really good shot. He never got that opportunity and never did that. Torres just kept his foot on the gas and pulled away with it and then ended the fight with a big right hand. So, good win for Manuel Torres. I mean, El Loco is a good name, and Frank Camacho, Frank the Crank, that's, I do like that name too. That's a good nickname. I like that one. I told you before, I'm a sucker for good nicknames. Jake Hadley, the undefeated fighter, versus Allan Nascimento, or Allan Nascimento, sorry. So Allan, there was a lot talked about how Charles Oliveira's in his corner. This fight was a real stinker as far as watching it goes. There was not a lot of... Oh, Adelaide Bird was on this one, so that's good. I'm just kidding. She's been right before, too. Like, all of her decisions aren't crap. It's just she's famous for making some really shitty ones. So there was lots of grappling and rolling around back and forth, and then Allan he got the best of it in that first round. And then Allan got the takedown early in the second round here. So you look at the striking numbers. There's not much to break down. There wasn't a ton of striking, so we don't have to go over that shit. It's really just about control time. You want to look at control round by round. And really, so this third round was relatively close, but I'll explain that in a second. So Allan got a takedown early in that second round. He stayed on top the whole time, not doing much damage, but it doesn't matter. He didn't need to do anything, and he ended up getting the win. Or getting the that second round, in my opinion, 20-18. So then in the third round here, it was a closer round. I had it back and forth. Again, I was not privy to the numbers when I wrote these notes. So it was a closer round, back and forth. Could have gone, there was a lot of working in either direction. It was just submission attempts and reversals. The thing is, like, Nascimento got the best of that too, right? So easy 30-27 for him. I'm not upset about that. It's just boring. So this might be one of those things where it's not boring because they're not trying to engage or that they're trying to stall or something like that on the ground. It's more just they keep canceling each other out. So, that can happen. One boring fight does not a boring fighter make. Okay? Shit happens. Everybody talks about how exciting Francis Ngannou is, but he has two of the biggest stinkers in UFC history. One for sure, right? Arguably one of the worst, if not the worst fight of all time. And then his defense against Gane, right? That's a big stinker. So, but everybody considers him to be an exciting fighter because he throws big punches. What happens when they don't land? Same with Derek Lewis. Watch his fights, and you watch the whole fight without a knockout. Don't watch the knockout part, and you tell me how exciting the fights are. Usually not very. Okay, so one boring fight does not a boring fighter make, but that being said, this fight was kind of stinky. So if maybe it's just a bad matchup because Hadley is undefeated and he's a good grappler himself, and Nascimento just couldn't get his grappling going the way he wanted to and wasn't able to do it, that could be. They just outmatch each other on those positions, and it is what it is. It was just a stinky fight. If you didn't watch it, I'm not going to force you to go watch it. It's not worth watching. So that is it for the main card here. I thought overall one of the better cards in recent memory. I think last weekend just put a real damper on everything. There were so many boring fights, and it was just so brutal to watch some of the stuff, especially with how many events were going. And then you watch all these fights, and you're just, you had some exciting ones here and there, but even some of the exciting fights have so many moments of just dull nothingness. And, it happens sometimes, and it's kind of draining being an MMA fan and not feeling, I don't feel obligated because I do enjoy watching MMA. Obligation isn't the right word. It's more like I'm going to be watching this regardless, and I would like to be entertained while I'm watching it. And I think I tend to be entertained by more things than your average MMA viewer, right? Because your more casual fans just want to see blood, or maybe they're just they just want to see knockouts. They don't even care about submissions. They just want to see people punch each other in the face, right? They want like a modified version of kickboxing. They want kickboxing in a cage, essentially. So it's just like this weekend, to be fair, it was more refreshing. Okay. It was more refreshing to see what I would consider higher level MMA executed at a relatively high level, and guys really trying to execute their game plan. And when it wasn't working, some of these guys made some adjustments to make it not just more exciting, but trying to get the win and finish the fight in a way that they could. It was fun, good weekend, good week of fights. And if you didn't watch this card, you might skip over the first event, but watching the rest of these, like the Chookagian fight wasn't a total stinker. It wasn't terrible, although when Ribas was on top, it was kind of boring. And then, the Grant Smolka fight, the Spann Cuțelaba fight, the Blachowicz Rakic fight, not bad overall, right? This is a good card to go back and watch. So if you didn't watch this one and you're just watching this to catch up and you want to know which fights are good, I would go watch a few of those ones that I pointed out, and then a few on the prelims card, which we will talk about next. I will cover that in the next video. So thank you guys so much for making it this far. If you did, I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And if you're here already, please just hit the subscribe button. You're already here. This is the end of the video. Most people already left by now, but you're still here. So hit the subscribe button so you know when the next videos do come out. Like I said, I do a lot of MMA talk. I cover a lot of MMA, 2, 3, 4 episodes a week sometimes. So it'll keep you up to date. It'll show up in your feed. And then if you made it this far, dude, again, you're already here. Just hit the like button. Do it for a friend. Do it for me. Let me know what you thought about the event. Let me know what you thought about, do you think Blachowicz deserves a title shot? Am I out of my mind here? Let me know what you thought. All right. I hope everybody has an amazing week. If you're looking for the prelims during the next video, if you're not and you're not interested in those, awesome. Have a great week, like I said, and I love y'all.